Attorney General Merrick GArlanad knows better, but he won't do better, will he? He's part of the big mob, the in-power elites that use rhetoric to try to sway people to something that sounds nice or away from something that sounds bad when it's their agenda and it's not a good one. So the agenda that, or the words that Mr. GArlanad has used to avoid redlining are that redlining is a still existent sign of institutional racism. Ladies and gentlemen, he needs to parse true racism, which probably exists in some pockets of the United States. It is not widespread. I've lived in 5 states, haven't seen it. It is disguised. It's not even a disguise. Just use common sense. When disparate impacts make racial distinctions more prominent, but it's not racism. If there is redlining by banks, it's almost certainly economics. It's not that they're anti-black or anti-Latino in making or denying loans. They might be anti the neighborhood. They might be anti the people in the neighborhood, whatever their race, who have a disposition to default. That is not racially charged. Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats in power use race to get what they want because no one wants to be charged as a racist. And so when they can point to different impacts of a policy they don't like, it's to them pretty salient. Don't follow along with it. It's as silly to buy into this bank continued redlining. This existed 50 and 60 years ago, admittedly. I don't think it exists anymore. Use your eyes. Have you met neighbors that right now object to a black family living in an otherwise white neighborhood? Not in Connecticut. In fact, it was an undercover operation a few years ago where they were looking for banks who were denying loans to blacks. Undercover couples went into 4 different banks, couldn't find any sign of disparate lending except one. It was very dubious, and it happened, of all places, in a bank whose chairman at the time was African American. They use disparate impact in a way that is so silly, as if to say the 32 owners of NFL franchises, none of whom are African American, must have racial bias against white people because 70% of NFL starters are African American. There's an impact. They're more talented per capita on the NFL football fields. Duh. So please don't use the rhetoric of the elite, the in power that are trying to gain more power. We who are sympathetic to the still at times plight of African Americans where there is abuse, we shouldn't be diluting it with things that are not abusive. Okay, there's still some racial problems in southern pockets. There are many racial problems in Africa. Fight them. Stay away from good institutions that are lending based on criteria other than race and making them look racist. I'm Mark Stewart Greenstein.